so much for doing this. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
Cool. Yeah. So our podcast is about your journey in music and how you got to where you are now. Um, I did see that you were on the X Factor. We can talk about that if you're cool with that, and of course
Yeah,
your new record.
awesome. Yeah, everything's an open book. So yeah.
Right on, man. Well, tell me, where'd you grow up?
So I grew up in Texas, really small town called Brenham. If you've ever had Bluebell ice cream, that's
I
their,
have.
yeah.
Really?
So
Oh
that's
no,
where it originated.
you are from there?
I am from
Dude,
there.
okay. So it was like a year ago, over a year ago now, because COVID is like a whole year. I forgot about it. So it was like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
My family, we just took a trip to Houston to just check it out for, I don't know, at random. And we drove to Austin and we drove through there and stopped at the Bluebell factory and got ice cream and took pictures and did their little tour. It was
Yeah.
awesome.
That's like when you live in Brenham as a kid, that's like the first field trip you go on at school is the Bluebell factory.
Oh, really? Yeah, they have like the first like ice cream truck out in the front too. You can take a picture with. It's
Yeah.
rad. That's so cool. How funny that you grew up there. That's awesome.
Grew up there pretty much all of my life. When I was 21, I moved to Austin.
Okay.
And I lived in Austin for about 6 years before I moved to LA. And I've been here
Okay.
about 5 years.
Wow. One more quick note on the Bluebell factory. They've got like a huge baseball thing in there. What's the tie to baseball? Is it big in the area?
I wish I could tell you.
Oh, you don't know? Yeah, it's like
I
the
know.
you know, like the bottom floor of like before you go upstairs where like the ice cream is. There's all this baseball memorabilia.
I haven't been on the tour in so long, but
It's
I'm
fresh in my mind.
fresh in your mind. You probably know more about it than I do.
That's funny. But yeah, I didn't know. It was bizarre. I'm like, oh, there's all this baseball stuff in here. But anyway,
Yeah.
so you grew up there. How'd you get into music?
So my mother was a singer-songwriter, so she still is. But
That's awesome.
I grew up kind of in her concerts and in studios, and so that's kind of what made me kind of want to do it.
Okay. Would she tour and everything, or was it more?
Yeah,
Mainly
she was touring. I mean, she did not quite at the scale that I want to do it, but she was touring around locally, and she kind of gave up her music career to kind of raise me and my brothers and sisters. She has 5 kids. So,
Oh wow! And I know you're a twin, right? What your twin brother?
yep, I'm a twin. Started doing music with my twin brother.
Oh, that's how it all started, huh?
That's how it all started. Yeah, I
Okay.
grew up. We grew up doing it together, and we're touring around Texas and kind of the surrounding areas. We did the X Factor together. Um, and yeah, he ended up kind of deciding that he wanted to kind of have a little bit more of a simple life and have the family and kids. And I was like, that isn't for me. I'm moving to LA to go for it. So
That is awesome. So you did the band with your brother for a while. Were you guys? Was it just the two of you playing and putting out? Like, did you have a band name and everything?
yeah, but the band name was called The Adamant. And
Okay.
yeah, kind of people would always confuse it with Adam Ant. They're like,
Oh, sure. Like
yeah,
Adam Ant is playing
Adam
here
Ant.
tonight.
Yeah, exactly. But it was called The Adamant. And we released one record. The record was done by my dad, who's a sound engineer. So he kind of
Oh,
helped
wow.
us
So you
produce
have a fully musical family then, huh?
fully musical family. Yeah, everybody.
That's rad. Were you able? So did he teach you how to record and everything?
A little bit, but I was always the person who I like the creating aspect of it. I wasn't so technical. I've
Uh-huh.
gotten a little bit better, but yeah, I left that to him.
Okay. I did see a video you posted, like your most recent video on your Instagram, where you were playing piano doing the Louis Capaldi cover, which is awesome.
Oh yeah.
Was piano the first instrument you learned to play?
Piano was definitely the first instrument I started to learn, and I took piano lessons when I was younger, and I begged my mother to let me stop because I got bored with it at around
Like every
5 years
kid.
old. Yeah, like every kid, and I stopped for a while, and it wasn't until probably like maybe around the end of high school that I started picking it back up again, and I've been playing it ever since.
What did you play? Did you drop the piano for guitar, or did you
No,
replace it? It just stop playing
I just
like
stopped
an
playing. I
instrument?
think, yeah, I stopped playing, and I wish I would have continued doing it because I probably would be a lot better than I am.
Well, you're
Uh,
good now,
I'm
man.
okay.
Well, with that, like So you stopped playing. How old were you when you gave up the piano?
I was about maybe 10 or 11.
Okay. And then from there, you weren't pursuing music at all, or like
I was pursuing it, but I was just singing. Singing was
just
my
singing?
primary
Okay.
focus. So my brother played the acoustic guitar, and so did my mother. So anytime we'd go out, a lot of times they would play, and I would just sing.
Oh, okay. Does your brother sing also, or was he just a guitar player?
He sings as well. Yeah. My brother also sings. So yeah, big
Well,
singing family.
yeah, that's rad. Okay. Well, what were those? So you decided to start a band with your brother. Did you have
Mhm.
other people like, or in your high school, or was it
Yeah,
just the two of you guys?
we had friends of ours that played bass, and it started kind of because I grew up in church. So my grandfather was a pastor, so we had a youth group band, and then we kind of pulled in those musicians for our band, and we
Oh.
started kind of touring around with that. So that's kind of where it all started, was in church.
Oh, okay. I've heard this story. I've other artists with this
Yeah,
similar story with church. Was that your first time performing in front of people?
yeah,
Was that church? Okay.
yeah. I think it's a pretty popular story because it's one of the, I mean, at least in Texas, that's one of the easiest ways to get in front of an audience.
There you go.
Would
Yeah.
actually want to listen to you.
With that, like with the band that you guys formed, you said you played around, you did like little tours and stuff?
Yeah, we did little gigs here and there. It was nothing really too serious, but we played a lot of Battle of the Bands. We did the biggest thing really that me and my brother did after kind of touring around a little bit was the X Factor. That's where we kind of took it to that level. But
And
that's
how
that's
tell me about that. How did that happen? Like how'd you get on the show?
so they found us on YouTube. We were doing a lot of YouTube videos together, and the producers found us. I guess they saw one of our YouTube videos, and they liked us, sent us a message, and really our first audition was in front of the celebrity judges. So we walked up, and normally you have like several rounds of like smaller interviews before you go in front of the celebrity judges, but that was our first audition, was in front of that audience and the judges. So it was definitely a good experience, but it was like a little bit of a culture shock for us too.
Oh, I'm sure. With tell me about getting that message. That must have been like, is this real? Like what is,
Yeah, yeah.
you
It
know?
was, at the time, we really didn't know what to expect, and we didn't even necessarily at the time know that that was going to be our first audition. So we figured, okay, well, this is just the first audition of many before we get to go in front of the judges. So we were really excited about it, but we didn't really know what to expect. It was our first time ever doing a show.
Did they like take you to LA or like what?
So our audition, actually, they came to Austin, Texas. So
Oh,
we
okay.
got to just stay in our city.
Stay locally. That's cool.
Yeah,
And then even the you said in front of the celebrity judges, everybody was there.
yeah, everybody was there.
Was that, did you know going there that you were going to be right in front of the celebrities, or did you think you were
Well,
doing
right,
those?
they told us like maybe a couple days before we went that was going to be that audition. But yeah, up until like a couple days before, we didn't know who we were going to be auditioning for.
Wow. What season were you on? Or like
It
who
was
were
the
the
second
judges?
season. It was the season that Brittany was on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Wow. That's rad. Were
yeah.
you, was that like, I mean, from playing in churches and maybe smaller gigs, was it like mind blowing to play in front
It
of
was
her
mind
or
blowing.
celebrities?
It definitely was. It was our first time. I mean, we kind of had a little bit of getting used to playing in front of larger audiences when we were, because we were playing in like a mega church in Austin's of about around 6,000 people. So we had already kind of had the practice of being in front of
Oh, okay.
larger crowds. So then when we went on there, I think the hardest thing is when you're being judged and you know you're being judged. That's
Right.
always the hardest thing for any artist, is to perform in that type of setting.
Uh-huh.
So that was definitely nerve wracking.
Yeah, but still 6,000 people were in the churches that you played?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. That's
So yeah,
huge.
big church.
Jeez. Okay. Well, yeah, and I saw you guys made it pretty far, didn't you, in X Factor?
We did. We made it to the top 40.
That's huge.
Yeah, and it was really amazing. I think I think going into it, we kind of thought that it was going to be a really big primary focus on like our music. And I think what got a lot of the publicity on it was Brittany telling us that she wanted us to wake her up in the morning. And so that's what ran over and over and over again. And we're like, well, play our song longer. We want
Right, right.
music.
But I'll take a job waking you up every morning.
We'll wake you up, Brittany. It's okay. Yeah.
That's cool. So they found you on YouTube, and from there you did the show. After the show, what did that open a bunch of doors for you?
It did. There was a lot of stuff that was kind of in the works of us doing it, but I think me and my brother were a little bit disconnected after the show. We were just, I think it got really real after the show, where it was like, okay, let's make the next moves. Maybe we need to move to LA. And I was kind of pulling him along to come for the ride with me. And I don't think it's really what he wanted to do. And so that at that point, he was in a relationship and that was getting more serious. And we just kind of split ways at that time. So all of the momentum that we built with that show kind of got lost because he was not really on the same page.
Yeah. Did they know you as a band, you think, and then going off on as a solo artist, or did they know you as the Olsen brothers? Or
they knew us by our names, Josh and Jeremiah.
Okay.
But it's just different once you kind of break off, and especially because I was doing music for so many years with them, it took me a little bit of time to kind of find myself without my twin brother and kind of figure out who is Josh Olsen without Jeremiah.
Right. Yeah.
So that's kind of these last 5 years. That's what I've been doing, kind of defining who I am as an artist.
Mm-hmm. And was that difficult to branch out on your own?
So difficult. Yeah, because my identity was so wrapped up in this other person.
Yeah.
And but it was such a big growth for me because it caused me to be very uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. And I ended up moving away from my brother and my family and everybody that I knew, and made the trip out to LA. And it really forced me to grow myself as an artist and get better at piano and get better at vocals and whatever I needed to do to really make it on my own.
Sure. And when you got to LA, did you have a network of people due to the show, or no? It was
not at all.
Ground up. You have to start
ground
over.
Up. I didn't know anybody. I knew one person when I moved out here, and she was a friend of mine. I stayed with her for a little while, and kind of tried to, get things going, get a job, and figure out how I was going to like survive in LA while trying to pursue my music.
Yeah. And how were you able to do that? I know that's a question a lot of people have.
Yeah. I started kind of out here in real estate. That's really how I kind of got my start, able to pay my bills while I was doing music. And it was probably about 2 or 3 years into me being here in LA that I finally found somebody that was like, we want to invest in your music. We want to invest in you. And for the last, I guess, year and a half now, I've been completely full-time music. And so that's been amazing to be able to have the funds to put back into my music and also just, do what I love.
Sure. That's amazing. Were you playing out locally prior to the past couple of years? Were you just trying to do open mics or anything you can?
Yeah, I did a few local shows out here in LA, but I think the main thing that I had been doing the last year was recording music videos and just recording my all my original music for this EP that I just released.
Oh, okay. And because you just released the EP, when was it recorded? Was this all? I'm trying to timeline you pandemically. Yeah. You know what I mean?
So this was a year prior to the pandemic. So
okay.
I recorded it all in, I guess, all in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
Mainly.
Okay.
And then, then released it during the worst possible time in the world.
Well, what do you do at that point? You're kind of stuck. But with that, like, did you, when you finished it, like, were you able to go out and play it at all prior to the lockdown, or?
No, not at all, because I released it right when the lockdown started. So,
sure.
So really everything's been virtual so far. So I haven't even been able to, what sucks is I'm like, oh my God, I'm like been waiting for a year to play this music in front of people and out, but it's bittersweet because now I'm like stuck behind a computer screen.
Yeah. Have you been like with the pandemic? I mean, putting that record out during it, were you able to stay inspired? Were you continuing to write after that, or how does that?
Oh, yeah, I'm constantly writing, and I mean, daily I'm writing new music, and I think when you're going through hard times and you're going through times of struggle or whatever it is, you write really good music. So I've definitely got some good writing in.
That's good. Well, the EP, the beginning of the end, was that your first? That's your first record as
Yeah,
a solo artist.
that's right. Yeah,
Wow.
first record.
And were prior to being solo, when you're playing with your brother, was it a collaborative effort as far as writing the songs, or did you write most of it and were like, here, this is kind of how it goes?
Yeah, everything with my brother was always a very collaborative effort. He played the guitar, so he would come up with the chord progressions, and then we'd both write melody and lyrics over the music.
So is that different when I mean, starting a solo project, do you feel like the songs sound completely different than what you were doing before? Like,
It's absolutely different from what I was doing before because I was a little bit more on the rock side with my twin brother, and that was
oh, sure.
one of the cool things about being able to kind of get on my own was I finally can do exactly what I want to do as an artist. There was no
Sure.
We would bump heads a lot constantly, like we're gonna do this, no, we're gonna do this, and so it's been nice to have that control.
Yeah. Did you have songs that you worked on with him that spilled over onto the EP, or when did you start writing the EP?
So the EP's been writing in the past year, so definitely haven't used any of the music that we wrote together. But it was all freshly new music that I co-wrote with Bart Shadell. He's a two-time Grammy nominated engineer, and I contacted him on Facebook when I started out writing this EP. I was like, okay, I want to find the best producer that I can that will work with me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just went onto social media and I contacted every single producer that I could possibly think of, and he answered me back and was like,
Wow.
"Yeah." And so we just started. We met up for dinner, started talking about the project, and he got on board with it, and we co-wrote and produced every single song
Oh
together.
my gosh, that's so rad. And just a cold like message online.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, wow. And were
Power
you
of social media.
I know I've heard this too before where people are just like, yeah, I just sent a bunch of DMs and somebody was like, hey, I'm
Yeah,
down to work with you. But to have a Grammy nominated artist or a
yeah,
producer to work on the
yeah,
record, was it
yeah.
like what did he do? Did you have like the demos done and he kind of just up the level, or were you guys writing both
No,
together throughout the
I
whole
think
EP?
we when we started out on the project, we just were like, okay, let's start fresh. Let's start
Mhm.
everything fresh. So we really just went straight to the piano or guitar or wherever, and just started from scratch.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
What was the first song that you wrote and released solo as a solo artist?
The first song that I've ever released as a solo artist was right when I came here to LA, and that was called "Breathing In."
Okay.
And I
That-
did a music, but that was very early. That was before Bart. Uh,
yeah, I've heard that one. And was
yeah,
that something that you wrote in LA, or is that was all done prior to moving to LA?
that was written in LA. Yeah, that was actually written and produced. That was a track that some producers had made for me, and I wrote music and lyrics to it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
And that was right when you moved to LA, or pretty
Mhm.
soon after you moved to LA?
Yeah, that was like maybe a year or two in.
And with after releasing it, did you like what was did you like was that the effort towards what became the EP, or like I mean,
Yeah.
it looks like there's quite a bit of time in between that song and when you put the EP out.
Yeah, there definitely was. I think that song was the very first one, and I think anytime you come to LA, there's always like you're kind of spinning your wheels in a way. And
Mhm.
after I released that song, I was still kind of trying. That was like my first thing that I've ever released as a solo artist. So it took a good like couple of years after that to where I was like, okay, this is the type of music I want to release,
Mhm.
and finding Bart and kind of figuring out the right path.
Yeah, to kind of find your sound.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, I mean, the record's out. It's you said you've been working on new stuff in
Yeah.
quarantine, and like,
Yes.
so I've had this, like, I'm curious because I've asked a couple artists the same question where like you have a record that you put out during all this and you haven't had a chance to go out and play it to the world, and you probably have a bunch of songs ready to go again. And do you let that EP breathe a little bit, or do you just kind of go forward and put out the next record and hope you can tour on both the albums? Like,
Yeah.
what do you
I
think?
think that, I mean, there's no rules, I guess. There's no rules to what you can do, but I think it's really just whenever the right songs come and whenever the right music. I think you can't rush anything, and you just
Mhm.
have to go with the process of whatever works. But I'm already in the mindset now that I'm like, man, it's already been a few months after the EP. I'm creating all this new music. I'm like, I'm not even gonna want to sing these songs by the time this.
Yeah, that was kind of where I was going. Like, are you going to be over it by the time everything's out?
No, I think, you know what, I think songs, as artists, we get bored of our own music because we write all the time, and so it's I think the songs take on new life when you perform them and you see people's reactions and what they mean to them. I mean, I get messages all the time about what songs mean to certain people, and it actually has nothing to do with how I wrote the song, or you know,
Yeah.
but it always means something different to somebody. So even though maybe I'm completely sick of my songs, being able to play them out in front of people, they take on new life.
Right. Yeah. Well, with that, have you been able to do? I've know you have a bunch of videos on your Instagram of you
Yeah.
playing. Have you done the live streams, and were you able to play these songs, and what was the feedback like?
Yeah, it's been really good. I'm a big TikToker now since quarantine, and now
Oh,
I'm all
dude,
over.
I'm so late to that game. I have a 12-year-old son who's like, it's all he's doing constantly. I'm afraid to get into it because I don't want to like
Oh,
just give
I,
up life and be on just do TikTok all day.
I'm addicted, but it is really cool to, I think, compared to the other social media platforms, because it's just such a cool, diverse platform, and it's really caught me. So I've been doing a lot of lives on that, and I mean, I don't know, just kind of growing my fan base on there, and it's just, I don't know, I like it more than any other platform.
Really? And with like, do you enjoy like having people use your soundbite? Like, is that something that's happening? That must be pretty
Yeah,
cool to
yeah.
see people like dancing or reacting to
Hmm.
your music.
Yeah, no, it's so cool. I mean, and that's what's great about TikTok, is they have that feature on there where people can use your sounds, and so yeah, all my music is on there, and it's cool to see people using it.
That's awesome. That's really awesome. But what's the reaction like on the songs when you go live? Are a lot of people like commenting? I know
Yeah,
I've heard people where it gets weird where I haven't heard anyone going live on TikTok. I didn't know that's a thing, but that's awesome that
yeah,
you're the first person that told me that.
yeah.
Where they'll play and then you like the song's over and then it's like 15 seconds and then it's like yay, or you'd see the emojis come up or whatever. Like
Lives are always like that. It's always a little weird on lives, because you're like in a fishbowl, and you're like, definitely my first few lives, it's like the most awkward thing ever.
I was gonna ask, yeah, was it weird the first couple times you were doing it?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I've been doing it enough now that it's like, it's just kind of, I've got my stride in it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it definitely was awkward the first few times, because you're like waiting for people's reaction, and maybe some days you have, especially when you start, it's like you have 5 people watching you.
Right, right. But I mean, but yeah, that obviously grows. And
Yeah.
with that, like for your like, do you mainly, because I noticed that you put out quite a few videos. I mean, do you usually do covers, or is it like
Mhm.
kind of a both back and forth, or is how do you
Are you
manage
saying
that?
it in my live streams? Do I do both?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. In your live streams.
Yeah, my live streams, I like to incorporate covers, but I do a lot of my originals too. I'm always promoting I mean, for artists now, we can't do live shows, so the only way that I'm able to really promote it is by playing it on lives.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, I know. It's hopefully that will end soon.
An interesting time we're in.
Yeah, definitely. But it looks like you're capitalizing on it. I mean, being able to, like you said in the Louis Capaldi one, you said like you've been getting requests for that. Are you seeing a lot of people asking you for certain songs?
Yeah, because when you do a cover, and especially on TikTok, it's just like you do one, and then in the comments, it's just like, sing this, please sing this. I want to hear you sing this. So I try to, if I like, I always try when I'm picking out songs, like obviously I want to like the song, but I try to make the fans happy too.
Yeah, how is that like a fine line? Like, do you find songs that the fans are requesting and you choose one that you actually like, or do you have songs that you're going to do anyway?
Yeah, if I can't do the song justice, then I'm not going to touch it. If I feel like I can do a good job on it, then I'm like, okay, I'll sing that. But if I'm like, nope, I can't, I don't think I can do that justice, I'm not going to touch it.
Yeah, you did justice for the Lewis Capaldi. I listened to that one right before we started talking, and nailed it, man. It's crazy how much your voice carries like his, and he's it sounds great, man.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, what's next? You got music that you're writing and recording, but you have the album out. Like, what do you have coming up?
So next is just, I'm hoping that we can do another music video off of this EP. I want to choose one of the songs and do another music video. And then I want to plan some type of live virtual concert. So something with a band, as much as it's not as good as a live show, it'd still be something that's better than nothing.
Sure. You talked about a music video. The video, you do have a video for Sex with a Stranger and Bad Things. Were those videos shot during the quarantine?
Yeah, so those were shot right before quarantine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I actually released Sex with a Stranger and Bad Things as singles before the EP came out. Mm-hmm. So I did music videos for both of those.
Oh, okay. Before, and then you're gonna choose one and do another video off of the remaining tracks. Rad. Do you have a concept or an idea yet?
Not yet. There's definitely, I think I Won't Say I Love You is probably the one that will do a video for you. Mm-hmm. But no, we'll see. With the last two videos, the producers kind of took the lead on those concepts. Mm-hmm. I like to let whoever's, if I don't call myself a producer when it comes to music videos, so I'm like, I'm gonna let you guys.
Oh, you guys go for it. Okay.
Yeah. I obviously I put my input in, but I trust the experts.
Yeah, that's smart. They did you justice on the first two, so.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome. Well, dude, thank you so much, Josh, for talking with me today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, and it's Adam, right?
Adam, yeah. It might have said Sean on the invite because my brother-in-law I've had 3 surgeries on my neck and my throat recently. So he was coming in quite a bit and taking over. So not to jar people, we put his name, but now people are getting confused.
Well, I'm glad that the surgeries went well.
Appreciate it. Yeah, I'm all right. I just got a huge scar here and then a huge one back here, but it's all good.
Gnarly.
Battle wound, but it's all right. I have one more question for you. I want to know if you have any advice for aspiring artists.
Yeah, I mean, I think for any artist that I would tell starting out is to, once you find yourself, trust yourself, and you're going to have a lot of people telling you who you should be, and just be yourself no matter what. Find out who you are and stick to it.